Welcome to Creative Piecemeal Podcast, a podcast for creatives. I'm your host, Tammy Takeishi. Join me for compelling conversations with artists, actors, authors, musicians, and other creatives about the impact of the creative and fine arts in their lives and our ever-changing world. Thank you for listening. Hello, and welcome to Creative Piecemeal Podcast. This is a very special episode, the 100th episode, and I am honored to have some wonderful guests back to interview me, Mark and Elizabeth, and they're super fantastic, creative people. They run the Meat for Tea podcast Meat for Tea literary journal and Meat for Tea cast?
Yes.
You got it.
Meat for TCast. It's a mouthful.
Yes.
Podcast, which if you haven't had a chance to check out, definitely do. They are such wonderful creative souls, and I couldn't imagine anyone else interviewing me for my 100th episode. So thank you so much for coming on.
Well, that's an honor.
Aw, thanks.
That's a really big honor. Thank you.
Do you want to go first?
Where do we begin?
I'm going to start then.
Yeah, I think Elizabeth's going to start.
Okay, so who or what inspired you to become a musician, music therapist, podcaster?
That's such a great question. It's
Must
really
be
funny
because you
because
wrote it.
right? When I asked this to guests, I'm now realizing maybe I shouldn't start with that question. It's like, boom, right off the bat. How much time do you have? Because that could be a long story. I'll give you the Reader's Digest condensed version. But in terms of musician, I've just always loved music. My family was musical, and I grew up having lessons for piano and violin, and going to concerts with my family, orchestra concerts and things like that, and rock concerts with my friends, and just music all the time. And so it just felt like a natural progression to go into music when I was in college, also because I wasn't really that gifted in other areas. I was definitely more gifted in the creative fields, writing and music and things of that nature. So that's naturally where I found myself. But in terms of music therapy, I thought I wanted to do music education, and then decided that's not quite the fit for me. And I found out about music therapy, and I absolutely just fell in love with it. And I really feel like I found who I was. I found my tribe, so to speak, when I got to grad school for music therapy, and it clicked. Everything clicked. It felt like everything I was supposed to be and supposed to do on earth was wrapped up in this field of music therapy. And then in terms of podcasting, that grew out of just a natural curiosity. I enjoy meeting people. I love to talk. I also love to listen. And I had a very sporadic blog, and I decided that I realized I can't write a blog post to save my life. I feel like I have nothing interesting to say. So I was like, okay, well, if I interview people and I send them questions and they send them back, and I'll post it on my blog, and they'll write the blog for me. And then I was like, why am I doing it this way? Why don't I just try a podcast? At that time, I'd never listened to a single one at the time. So I was like, well, I should probably listen to some podcasts. And I fell in love with it. And I loved that it's just a really interesting medium. There's so much stuff. Although I must say, I'm not a true crime podcast person. I'm more of the comedy podcast person, or, creative arts podcast person, like yours, for example, or ones about writing. And of course, one's about music. So that's really more my jam. And I thought, well, I'll just try it. And it's actually easier for me to do than keeping up a blog, which I still am really bad at doing.
Sure.
So I delegate those tasks.
Yeah, I'm not much of a blogger at all, but the podcast has been a really good, it's been a really good for that. I mean, Elizabeth's usually the primary host, but Even
I've
so,
made so many friends.
yeah, no, we
I
love it
know,
for a lot of the
yes.
same reasons too.
Mhm. And it's interesting because there's so much more work that goes into a podcast than like a blog, but it's for some reason easier. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know
I can
why.
see that. I can see that. I'm being an audio person and being mildly dyslexic, which is funny because I also, you know, do the layout for an arts and literary journal. It's kind of funny, but me being mildly dyslexic and being an audio person, I totally get that. Let's see. I think I'm going to jump down a little bit because this is about Tammy and our lovely host of Creative Piecemeal. I want to know, what's your favorite thing about yourself and why?
Oh my gosh. um,
Oh, how the worm is turned.
I know. It's like, wait, why did I agree to this?
No, it's good. I love it.
I guess I'd have to say, I guess I'd have to say my creativity. I just now whether or not I finish a project is a whole different story, but I absolutely love diving into the creative art field and just having fun with it. Whether it's just jamming and making music, or writing a poem, or doing the podcast, working on a manuscript. Like that's just how my brain works, and if I don't do enough creative stuff, like I feel it, I feel a little creatively grumpy, and then I have to be like shut out the world and do some creative stuff for a while, and then I come back out and I'm like my cup has been refilled and like I've been refueled. So I'd say that's my favorite part about myself.
Yeah, no, I relate because
Cool.
I start a lot of projects in my personal life that never get finished. I mean, anytime I'm writing a song, it's like this may not ever get finished. And sometimes they do, and that's awesome. And sometimes they don't, and that's cool. And sometimes they resurface years later, repurposed for another purpose. A lot of the music on our podcast is actually unfinished songs that I was like, oh, well, we need some background music for this. Oh, well, hey, I've got this unfinished song. This works. So it's yeah, I totally get it. It's part of it is just the creative process, not the completion.
Yes, very true, very true. There's such joy and freedom in just making something, and just letting
Yes.
your imagination go wild.
Definitely. I so much love the chapters of that historical novel I bet I read. I hope that gets finished. I can't wait to see where it goes. I still think about the characters. You created really engaging characters. They stuck in my head. I still think
Oh,
you should
thank
make a
you so
gay
much.
romance happen. That would really shake things up for the time frame in which he wrote it.
Well, quick
Yes,
backstory here.
yes.
You're talking about a manuscript that you're reading of Tammy's, right?
I read,
Yeah,
and I gave her feedback.
yeah.
Yeah,
I might be
Because
yeah.
reading more in the
Yes,
future.
some of her listeners might not be aware
yes.
of that. So this is very very cool news.
She's a good writer.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
thank
been
you.
telling
That's
me.
high praise coming from you.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I actually
that's
published a poem of yours,
indeed,
and I'm
indeed. I
picky.
love that it was on page 100, by the way. That makes my heart happy. It's an even number.
That's so weird that was just serendipity. So, what's a book you could read over and over and never tire of?
Well, there's quite a few of them. But the first one that comes to mind is one that I had read. I used to read every winter, called Snowfall by K.M. Payton, and oh gosh, it's an older book, from a little while back, but it just got such a lovely story and multiple points of view, and it's set in a wintry climate, so anytime it was like holiday break, I would read it, and it would just become like my tradition to read it every year. I haven't read it in a long time though, because the book is actually back home at my folks' house, so I need to retrieve that and restart that tradition.
Hmm.
That's lovely.
Have you read that one?
I haven't. I should look for it.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
See, that leads me to a question that I don't think is on the list, but is very related, and that is, what is a record or a piece of music that you could listen to
Oh, perfect.
over and over again and never tire of?
Oh wow. Well, I really, really love Mozart. He's one of my favorites. But in terms of a piece I could
Me
listen to
too.
over and over again, I would have to say the Beethoven Triple Concerto. So it's,
Hmm.
if you're not familiar with it, it's a concerto is usually like a piece for one solo instrument and an orchestra, but this is a triple, so it's for piano, cello, and violin, and they all interplay together, and they have solos within and work as an ensemble with an orchestra behind them, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Like, just melt your heart. It's amazing. So
I
Yeah,
know the
I'd have to
piece.
go with that
I
one.
think I know it as well, but I'd have to hear it to be sure. But I think I know what you're talking about, and if it is what I'm thinking it is, I agree.
I come from a classically trained pianist, concert choir kid, so it got pretty well. I think we share a lot of that early indoctrination.
We do, yes. Yeah. That's a good question and a good piece.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. I appreciate it.
What do you know to be true today that you didn't know a year ago?
I think, in getting a little more personal here, I am a people pleaser by nature. So I've been working to not be a people pleaser and to, do more self care and put up boundaries. So I think what I have learned, even in the last year or since last year, is that I have to be protective of my creative time and my social time.
Mm,
And
mhm.
it's
Good.
so important that I have both of those things, not necessarily in equal amounts, but I need those. And if I do too much creative time and not enough social time, it's not a happy Tammy, and vice versa, or none at all. Like, I definitely need both of those in my life, like, no matter how busy I get.
Yeah, well, that's good self care for sure.
Yeah. Also, you're young. Once you pass your 40th birthday, I find most people, definitely was true of me, saying no gets so much easier. And the older you get, the easier it gets just to draw a hard line and be like, nope, nope, that infringes on time I need.
I struggle with it a bit in my professional life, saying no, because I do want happy clients, and I do want to make everybody happy in a
And make
timely
money.
fashion, and then make money, of course. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, but there's definitely times like right now I am actually so busy at the studio that I actually have been turning people away and saying like, can you wait 3 weeks? Can you wait a month? Because I'm backlogged, which is the first time since prior to the pandemic that that's actually been
Oh
the
no,
case.
it's wild.
Yeah, it's really kind of unusual.
Is that a good
I
problem to have?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it's better than the opposite. Yeah, yeah, it's better
True.
than where is everybody? Um,
Yeah.
let's see. I want to make this a two-parter because I like this question a lot. If you describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
Wait, what's part two?
Well, answer with part one, and then I'll give you part two.
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm gonna go with resilient.
Excellent, excellent. Now, in 3 words,
Oh my gosh.
I know it
That
puts a
wasn't
spin
the
on it,
three
right?
words. I like that. Oh, I'm gonna steal that for the podcast. 3 words. Funny, creative, and gosh, the third word is eluding me here.
Well,
I
resilient.
guess I would say foodie also, because I love to eat
Foodie.
food.
Oh, cool. Nice, nice. Excellent. Oh, so yeah, so 4 great words to describe you. That's awesome.
Okay. So that naturally just leads, I was going to ask something else, but just that naturally leads into this one. What top 3 meals would you recommend to a tourist visiting your part of the world?
Yeah, that segues well.
Mm. So I'm in Texas, in one of the larger cities. So of course Tex-Mex would be one of
Mhm.
them. There are some really great places to get fajitas or enchiladas. All of are very good. There's some really fantastic Mediterranean restaurants here. So people who've emigrated from other countries, came here and set up shop to do Mediterranean food, and those are
Mm.
really awesome. There's a couple that come to mind. One is Nico Nico's, which has been around since the 70s, before my time. They're a pretty well loved establishment here in the Houston area. Also, Olive Oil Restaurant in the Woodlands is another good one too. So,
Hmm. Well, if we're
oh
ever
wait,
in
you
your
said
neck of the
3
woods.
meals.
Oh, right. Yeah, she did.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh,
You actually did originally. I'm just reading what you wrote.
me, I did. That was my fault. Well, Whataburger. If you're going for a less sort of a more casual thing, Whataburger is a wonderful fast food establishment that puts all the others to shame, and they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I've heard good things.
They're famous, right?
Yeah.
They're really. I think they were on Diners, Dives, and Dash and Drive-ins. I mean, the
Yeah.
Guy Fieri show.
Oh, yeah. People always talk about, like, when are we going to get a Whataburger up here in the Northeast? It's like, well, we have Sonic, kind of. I mean, that's not quite the same. We don't have In-N-Out, but we have in Northampton, we have a local burger joint called Local Burger that are very, very, very
I
good.
can't eat their stuff.
I think that's because the oils they use.
I absolutely cannot.
Yeah, I think it's the oils that they use to like fry their fries. I think you're allergic to. But they are a very good burger. So shout out to Local Burger, I guess. On your
Shout
podcast.
out with me saying, and I can't eat it. I can't eat their food. And it's been a long time since you've advertised in Meat for Tea, so step it up.
That's right. They were, full disclosure, they were a regular advertiser for a number of issues. Oh, this one. I think you actually may have asked me this one. I can't remember, but I like it. What's a band you don't like, but everyone else seems
I almost
to
asked
love?
that one.
God, if I did answer that, I can't recall what I would have answered. But well, anyway, people can go
So
back and
many.
find that one.
Hopefully, nobody hates me for this. But
Personal taste is personal taste.
I'm not exactly your biggest Beatles fan. I would not recreationally put on the Beatles to listen to. I have a lot of respect for their music. It's catchy. It's very great in what I do with music therapy. But I would not actively listen to their music.
No, you're not. You're not alone in that.
Interesting.
You're not alone.
We're pretty big Beatles admirers.
Oh, there's at least two, if not 3, Beatles podcasts that I listen to regularly.
Well, also in our vinyl collection, we have like
a fair number.
2 copies of the White Album, different pressings, or is it 3 and 2 copies of Abbey Road, or is it 3 different pressings? Like it's a very
we do have we also have the stereo remix of the White Album on vinyl as well.
Yeah,
which is really actually a remarkable record.
Yeah. And
but,
again, like full respect for the band. It's just not quite my cup of tea. You know, I do have a few favorite songs, but like I'm not going to put on the Beatles station.
No, I totally understand. It's the
I
thing
feel
about
like I'm
music.
very much in the minority with that, though.
I don't know. I've heard a few people express that opinion.
If it's a minority,
you're not alone.
If it's a minority, it's not a tiny minority. It's maybe it's a slight minority. But no, it's totally fine. That's the thing about music, though, is like A, not everything is for everybody, and B,
right,
like it's all individual, and it has so many things to do with like what you listened to when you grew up and what your parents played, or where you grew up, and there's so many different factors. So there's no judgment at all.
That brings me to a really logical next question. If we snuck a peek at your music collection, what are some things we'd find?
Yay! I love this question.
Me too.
I have a ton of CDs. I know not as many as you guys, but I have a ton.
We have mainly albums.
No, we have a couple thousand CDs too.
Yeah,
they're so great. It would be a mix of like musicals, like The Music Man and Les Miserables, and I really love female art singer-songwriters like Freya Ridings. She's really great. And jazz artists, Stacey Kent. She's fantastic. And then of course some rock bands like Muse and Radiohead and I'm drawing a blank, but just a pretty big variety. And I do own some Beatles albums, but I don't necessarily put them on. I'll put on something else. Oh, I also really love Melody Gardot in terms of a female singer-songwriter. She's fantastic.
Oh, cool.
Not even familiar. French artist, I take it, right?
Yeah, I think
Contemporary?
she has contemporary. Yep, she's from America, but I think she sings a lot in French and does a lot. She might live in France now that I think of it, but
Her last
just
name is
fantastic.
pretty Frenchy French.
Yes, yes. I think she may have some French ancestry, but like super amazing. Super amazing.
Ah,
So
gonna have to make a note.
yeah.
Oh, I know what I was going
I'll
to
have to
say.
send you a list.
I think I just learned of a band that is from Texas that are they're kind of shoegazy, kind of noisy, but super melodic at the same time, called Ringo Death Star.
Well, that's an
As in
unforgettable
like,
name.
yeah, well, I
It
mean,
is,
Ringo Star,
right?
Ringo Death Star. And a coworker, a colleague of mine, played one of their records the other day, and it reminded me at once of so many. Mark Dooley.
Dooley.
Um,
Yeah.
he's got an amazing record collection himself. He's a musicologist practically, but it reminded me of bands like Medicine and Curve and Jesus and Mary Chain and My Bloody Valentine, like that whole sort of shoegaze noise arc, but super groovy and super melodic. So that's a recommendation that if you want to check out Ringo Death Star.
Cool.
If you like female vocals,
Yeah.
most of the vocals are the bass player. She does most of the vocals.
Oh, neat. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Let's see where to. Oh, actually, this one is very good. What's the biggest challenge you have with your specific role right now, and how are you overcoming it?
Well, my biggest challenge is finding enough time to do everything that I want to do in the day or the week. And I've decided I'm going to invent time travel. That'll be my solution.
Nice.
Right? But no, in all seriousness though, just not getting distracted by other things. I get distracted sometimes, like, oh, look, a new episode of The Mandalorian, like it happens. So yeah,
That's
I guess putting the brakes on the distractions and making myself do all the things on my to-do list, essentially.
Yes. I feel that very much.
you just provided the segue to the next question. Planning on asking it, but you're going to invent time travel. If you had a time machine, what time would you travel to?
I think I would go back to when Mozart was alive, and because he's one of my favorite composers, I'd really love to meet him and see his genius at work. So that would be. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily enjoy the time period outside of that, since a lot of there's like plagues and I don't think indoor plumbing was around yet.
No, and I think women didn't have that many rights.
Which is also not,
at all.
Not good. So, but the dresses were beautiful.
Yeah, they were so wild. That was kind of a nips out time frame, and it was in style. They had those ampere waisted gowns that
that's right.
kind of started right underneath the nipples, and no one was scandalized. It was just the fashion. You just go around like that.
Ooh. And be honest, what's the best compliment you've ever received?
That I was a good listener.
Oh, wonderful!
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
It's a nice one. It was a nice one.
And I can see that. It makes sense. Elizabeth is looking at the list right now.
What's the last book you read?
That would be The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. It's a romance novel, and it's very yummy. She's one of my favorite authors. I have a lot of favorites, but she's one of my favorite contemporary, currently living, still writing authors. So just
is she a genre writer? Did she write in the genre of romance specifically, or is she a literary writer?
Yes, I would say like her books have happy endings, so I would say it's romance, but they don't always have a romance in them. Like there's romantic elements and things like that.
So maybe she's a literary writer who just dabbles in romance themes.
But she
I'm
does a
not
great job.
familiar.
She's one of the few authors who can make me cry, and I don't
Aw.
generally cry when I read books. So
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's the one. That's the one. There was one a little earlier back in your list here that I thought was really fun. It'll be probably a quick answer, but if your life was a novel, what would the title be?
I almost asked that one.
Yeah. I knew we'd passed one over that I wanted to hear.
you know, I don't mean to sound quippy, but like, in The Office, when Michael Scott's character, he's like, I've got a book about managing and it's called Somehow I Manage. I feel like that would be the title of my life. Somehow I manage.
Well, yeah, I feel that. Me too, Tammy. Me too. Somehow I manage. That's awesome.
Yes.
I'd missed that. I've seen a fair portion of that series too, but for some reason I don't remember catching that one. So, yes, how has your life in the creative arts been different than you imagined? Like, did you have any expectations, at any point where, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, and did it turn out differently? Because I know it certainly did for me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I always knew I wanted to do something in music, but everything has turned out so different, but so much better. When I was younger, I thought, I want to be a concert pianist, but I mean, like, I wouldn't be able to handle that kind of stress.
Yeah.
And I found music therapy, and it's just the perfect fit. And of course, falling into podcasting, like it's completely a 180 from what I thought growing up, but I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I'm really excited to see where it goes from here, especially with the growth not only at my work but also the growth of the podcast. And if I ever get my gosh darn manuscripts finished, what will happen there too?
Yeah, right, exactly. No, I completely relate. That question resonates with me because, again, I think you may have asked me this when you had me on, but there was a fleeting moment after my initial teenage years. I'm going to be a DJ, and I'm going to record music. I'm going to be a recording engineer. All that, that end of thing. I'm going to be in radio or recording, and then it was like, I'm going to be a rock star, and then very quickly went, no. I will make music, but I am not going to tour. I'm not
touring.
Going to, and Nine Inch Nails came out around the same time that my first album came out, and I went, he's going to do it, and there's no way I'm going to do that. And he did it, and bless Trent Reznor, he completely grabbed those bulls by the horns.
What was your favorite book as a child?
I really loved Bruce Koval's Into the Land of the Unicorns book 1, and I actually got to interview him for my podcast a few months back, and I got to gush about how much I loved his book and the subsequent books thereafter that I was, everyone was waiting to read, and it was just so nice to be able to talk to him about that and how magical not only the story was, but it was for me reading and thinking, hey, maybe I could write something like this someday. And then I also loved the Boxcar Children mysteries because it was just enough mystery and it was really sweet, and it was just, I loved that. And then the Goosebumps series, of course, growing up, for just a touch of horror, but nothing super scary. Although they did get a little bit scary toward the end. Like some of them got pretty creepy.
I need to go back and listen to that episode of your podcast. What a treat to have your favorite author from your childhood.
That's cool.
Come on your podcast. Boxcar Children. That was E. Nesbitt, right?
Is it bad that I don't remember?
I think that's E. Nesbitt. I am a huge fan of hers. She's amazing. 5 Children, and It is also a fantastic one by her. You should read about her life. She was a wild, independent feminist before such a thing had been invented. She's a cool lady.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll send you some links. She's a cool one to know
Yes, I would
about.
love to.
I had 2 in a row, so Elizabeth should get another one.
Oh, you had a second one in a row?
Yeah. There's a ton of great questions here.
There's so much.
I see one that I'm going to ask in a minute.
What's your best tip for making the world a better place?
Ooh.
I think that would be just taking a moment to be considerate of other people. I think unfortunately that doesn't happen very often, especially when people are out in public. Just being considerate, whether it's like giving someone directions or opening a door or just smiling at the cashier. Like, you never know what kind of a day someone's having. There's nothing wrong with just being kind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're right. That does seem to be in fairly short supply. And even in not IRL interactions, but on online interactions in social media, people would like just maybe take a breath and pause before just having a reaction.
Definitely.
There's a lot of reactivity that just, if people just, like you said, take a breath.
I've noticed since moving to our fair city here of Holyoke, even living in a relatively, relatively small city, much smaller than Holyoke, but still Holyoke's not a huge city, of East Hampton, where we used to live, that the local folks you run into on a daily basis, like when I'm stopping to get coffee on my way to work at the local Pride, which is a gas station chain here, not only do the cashiers start to recognize you and become super friendly, but you start to recognize some of the other patrons. And I've also noticed that even the strangers, the people I've never seen before, that there is a lot of holding of doors for other people. And there is a lot of, excuse me, pardon me, or can I help you with that?
I think that's kind of a New England thing, though.
But I'm noticing it more here in Holyoke than in even some of the other towns I've lived in the same, Western Mass region. Is Holyoke, there is a very strong sense of like we're all here like doing our stuff, and why not be nice to each other? I've been noticing that for the past, actually since the pandemic. But so I completely agree. Is like more of that is great, and I've been feeling more of that recently. Maybe it's just in our little Holyoke bubble that we're in, but it's kind of cool. I think it's a very important part of being part of our collective existence.
I was just gonna say that I'm always surprised when someone does something nice out in public, and I wish I wasn't.
Yeah.
It should be the thing that you expect, and the exception should be the surprise. Like, oh, that was rude. That was really aberrational.
Yeah. Well, precisely why I mentioned what I mentioned is like, I'm actually noticing like, oh, this is actually not what I'm used to. Not to say that East Hampton's an unfriendly place or whatever, but it's just like, oh, there's a certain courtesy. Okay, so completely 180-degree turn. I love this one. If you had intro music or a theme song for your life, what song would it be?
Nice.
Now I know why everyone pauses a lot on my podcast.
Yeah,
they're all thinking.
They're very thought provoking.
No, they make you. These are really make you stop and think questions. They're great. I love them.
I guess I would say one of the faster movements of one of the Bach cello suites. There's a faster one, and it's bubbly and bright. I want to say it might be in like G major or D major. A happy sounding.
I love the cello suites.
Just a short, sweet. Oh, they're so great. Just like a little one pager. And I'm totally blanking on the exact movement, but that. It's a hopeful piece and short and sweet and just nice and full of like energy, but not too much energy, just the right amount of energy. So I would say that.
So when you slide in the door from the hallway into your friend's apartment, kind of like that guy from Seinfeld,
Kramer.
Yeah.
when
Okay.
you
Right?
Kramer into someone's door.
That's what's playing. That's awesome.
Yes.
I practiced that. I
Yes.
used to Kramer into my English 101 classrooms. I was always just
Nice.
practicing like hilarious entrances and pratfalls. Open the door and just like pratfall onto the floor. I don't know. I had to enter the classroom in the goofiest way possible.
That makes me want to go back to school just so I could try that.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Slide into the classroom.
Didn't you also enter from the back of the classroom?
Yeah, well, when I was new to teaching, and it was, I didn't look that much older than the students. I was older, but didn't look like it yet. I'd come in through the back, and the students would be looking, expecting me to take a seat at a desk near them, and you just hear a little gasp as I kept on walking and walking, and I'm at the front, and all of a sudden I'm writing on the board, and they're like, "Oh,
Oh, that's the
that's the teacher."
that's the teacher.
Nice,
Okay.
nice.
Well, because let's see, I was 32 when I started working on my master's. Very baby faced, 32. So yeah, they thought I was one of them till I went and wrote my name and the class number on the board. So, what's a favorite memory or funny story about your time working on whatever blank question mark?
Well, it could be your career, your podcast,
You
your
don't need to fill in the
writing.
blanks for her.
Yeah. Well,
She can fill in the blanks for herself.
well, I think the blank is there. I think the blank is there for a cue if I'm reading this correctly. Like if the conversation is going a particular way. So
Yeah.
but blank, fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank.
It's interesting because, like, the moment someone asks that question, everything just flies out of your head.
Yep.
They have that effect.
It's amazing. I think one of my favorite memories on the podcast so far, and there's been a ton, is just being able to shoot the breeze with guests. And it doesn't always make it into the podcast just because, they're not, like other people are not necessarily going to find it interesting, but it's just between me and the guest, and it's just nice to get to know them on a deeper level outside of the questions. And sometimes conversation takes unusual turns, and you're talking about like side roads in Texas, and or like favorite foods from India, and I love that because it could go anywhere, and that really feeds my soul, talking to guests and just getting to know them on a deeper level outside of the questions, outside of the like the general chit chat that people do, small talk, that people do, because that's what I'm really there for. I love the meat and potatoes aspect. And in terms of career,
Definitely.
one of my favorite memories is when I was in my internship in New York City. I was super honored to be one of just a handful of people at the Louis Armstrong Center for Music and Medicine in New York City at Mount Sinai Beth Israel, and they have waiting lists of interns, because it's just so wanted. People really want to be in that particular location. And the day I got my acceptance letter, and then just the internship itself was such a wonderful experience of growth personally and professionally, and being able to do that kind of work under the guidance of such masterful music therapists and clinicians. And one of our final projects, the intern class presents a song and plays it at a concert, and it's usually a song that's already out. We sing a song that's meaningful, and we picked it, and it's this particular song. Anytime I hear it now on the radio, it just all of a sudden the memories flood back.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And it's Geronimo. I forgot who sings it, but the song is called Geronimo. And
oh yeah, no, I know the song. Phooey.
Yeah.
It's escaping me too. I know the song you're talking about.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just so good, and it's just really encapsulated the intern class, and then encapsulates just such wonderful memories every time I hear it, and it was just a beautiful time, and yeah, I love that. Probably one of my favorite years of my life was being an internship.
Yeah.
It was difficult because I was doing that plus grad school and writing a thesis.
Yeah.
But I loved it so much. So much. Yeah.
No, totally. Those years of the learning and the discovery, the expansion of like where you're going to go with your life. I have similar memories of a similar time period as well. And when I was interning at a studio and starting to actually get paid to work in a studio, and then having a record label actually send me to England to have the guitar player from one of my favorite bands co-produce like part of my debut album. It's just there's certain songs that I experienced like on that trip to England that I hear them and I just can't help but remember that time period. And it's
For me, it's grad school.
Yeah.
Working on the doctorate. I just started to really feel like I'd found my tribe. Once you get all the way into your little specialized field of study and you find out how geeky really people can get. And it's such a relief to find out that there's a lot of people just as geeky as you are.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, yeah. Thank
nice,
goodness.
Isn't it?
So nice.
Yes.
Such a
very much
relief.
so. Let's see. Do you want to get into the fun, quirky questions?
I do.
I like the fun, quirky questions. Let's do that. We can end with that one.
I want to do the game too.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. So, stranded on a desert island, name one music album, one book, one beverage, and one food. Well, we kind of already did the one music.
Well,
that's okay.
There might be more.
Yeah, but still, yeah. One music album, one book, one beverage, one food.
If I'm on an island, I would probably want clean water. So I'm going to go with that. I actually really like water. But in terms of food, my favorite food is French fries. So I would just have an endless supply of French fries.
It's a balanced diet. Yeah, sure. Water and French fries.
There you go. Water and French fries.
Potatoes have vitamin C, so you won't get scurvy.
That's true. No scurvy.
So there's
there
that.
You go. In terms of a book, well, that would be trickier because it's an island. So, and that other book that I mentioned, I always read in the winter, so I can't pick that one. It'd have to be a different one. I wouldn't want anything super serious because being stranded is a very serious problem. So I'd want something funny. So yeah, I guess just any sort of funny comic type book or romantic comedy type book. I can't think of any specific title right now, but something in that genre. And in terms of an album, again, I think I'd want to go for something a little more happier to sort of pull me out of the fact that I'd be stranded and for how long.
So maybe not like a Radiohead record, although they have happy moments. Maybe not. Yeah. Not Amnesiac. Yeah.
No. I would go with maybe like a jazz album because it's soothing and really relaxing. So,
particular jazz artist you'd choose over another?
Oh yeah.
Well, there's always the classics. Like Louis Armstrong, and I love the lounge singers Tony Bennett and Frank Sinatra. But again, one of my personal favorites is Stacey Kent. She just sings.
We need to check her out.
Yeah, she's so good. She's so good.
Not her.
Yeah, we're gonna have to check her out. You've made such a strong recommendation for her, and I don't think either of us is familiar. So that's
something new to discover.
Indeed.
I was gonna say for one book, even though the author has problems in his behavior, for some reason, Without Feathers from Woody Allen came to mind. Is like that's actually a book maybe I would.
Yeah, but your one book at a desert island is 98 pages long.
That's true.
You're going to be done.
It's really short.
I like how this question presupposes that you have means to play albums.
Oh, right.
the
of
desert
course.
album.
I forgot about that.
I have never thought about that.
What were you gonna do?
Your Desert Island album. It's like, well, yeah, what are you going to play it on?
There's a turntable and there's a power supply.
Holy crap. I've never.
One heck of a desert island.
Yeah, I've
And
also
an
got my
endless
microwave
supply
oven.
of like backup batteries
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the CD player. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
I had never, I never thought about that.
It landed on me right away. I'm like, well, this is interesting.
You know, I've had that Desert Island album question come up, you know, dozens of times over the past how many years, and it never occurred to me how would I listen to it. Yeah,
always occurs to me. Of course, I'm the one who watches the TV show. I'm like, okay, no one's gone to the bathroom in hours. What are they doing? Someone's
Right.
uncomfortable. I know they must.
Someone's squirming.
So, if you could bring back any musician, artist, author from the grave, ooh, pick one of each. Who would it be? Who would they be?
That's so tricky. That's so tricky. As much as I love Mozart, I would probably bring back Beethoven because I'd want to know more about his life and
Prior to hearing loss, so you could talk
yes,
with him.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I can't think of anyone else. I would want to bring back Oliver Sacks.
Oh yes, I love him so
I love
much.
him.
Oh, wonderful.
You read Musicophilia then, right?
And then I have
Isn't that
several of his
amazing?
other books on my shelf. Yeah.
I love all. I've read a bunch of him too. I love him. He's so brilliant. Yeah, Oliver Sacks. Oh, I love that choice. Now I want to come to the island. Well, no, this is back from the grave. Why do I just think everything's getting stashed on this island now? We have the island. Everything's just getting stuck there.
Well, everybody who gets brought back from the grave gets stuck on the island.
Goes to the
That's the
island.
rule.
There you go.
That's the rule. Yeah, it's sort of like
It's Lost.
Lost, exactly. Yeah.
Well, now you've got another hit TV show on your hands.
Yeah, and they all have to take turns, you know, in the bunker.
We should write that pilot, get it out there, make some money.
There you go.
Oh man, let's see. Actually, no, I really want to know this. What's your favorite movie? And secondly, what does it reveal about you?
So oddly enough, it's really hard for me to pick favorites of
Understood.
anything.
Yeah, understood.
I
Because
don't
I'll
know
be
if
like,
that's odd.
you know, because I always, you know, qualify it like, oh, favorite what? Like comedy,
Yeah,
favorite what? You know, like
Within what
but
genre? Yeah.
exactly, of course. But one that really stands out is This Is Spinal Tap.
I love that movie.
Easy. Yeah, easy to go there. Yeah.
Yes,
I love
yeah.
actually.
It's just so brilliant.
Well, kind of everything that whole ensemble cast have done
Had a hand in The Mighty Wind, Waiting for Guffman,
so good. Is it Christopher Guest?
Christopher Guest.
Yeah.
Everything he had a hand in. Well, and also, of course, there's Catherine O'Hara.
Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy.
Eugene Levy, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Because he's been involved in that whole orbit
ensemble
as well.
crew is amazing.
Yes, it is fantastic.
Posey.
Yeah, so in terms of like comedies and movies that sort of stand above, definitely that one. In terms of like music related movies, Amadeus is a big favorite.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that's a really good movie.
It's Salieri. Oh my God. What a hang up he had. You need to get over that.
One of my favorite music movies that I probably at a certain point in my life when I think I was probably seeking solace in kind of, well, basically I was seeking solace in retreating into this film because it was just for some reason resonating with me and I needed that in my life. I won't go into the backstory. Was Tom Hanks' That Thing You Do.
I knew it.
Which for a period of about 6 months of my life, I must have watched it about 50 times.
I did that with Liquid Sky.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen That Thing You Do?
I have, but it's been a long time ago.
Same.
Seek out the director's cut because it develops the some of the secondary characters get a lot more development than they do in the primary cut, and it's about 20 minutes longer, but I think it's a deeper story that way. But yeah, check it out. It's a lot of fun. And it's just a lot of fun because the music's really great. I mean,
check out Liquid Sky.
Yeah, Liquid Sky is awesome.
written by a female, directed by a female who also played the lead role, and she played dual lead roles, male and female.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
I was
right.
gonna also mention, movie wise, like I really love Wes Anderson films.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Although I haven't seen all of them, but I love them.
Our little grandson Finnegan, for his 5th birthday, we did a Moonrise Kingdom themed birthday party in our yard with all the Moonrise.
That's cute.
It looked like Moonrise Kingdom. We had all the tents and all the camp signs and camp craft of the tables, and they were even dressed appropriately. And Mark piped in the music from the movie into the yard. It was so magical and beautiful. And you've seen those guys now. I've sent you pictures of the little grandchildren.
Yes, they are adorable. They are absolutely adorable.
I think they're pretty cute.
They are.
I can't disagree.
Right, one more of the fun, quirky questions. I like these fun, quirky questions. If you could have dinner with any creative person, dead or alive, who would it be, and what would you have for the meal?
It'd be polite to let that person you brought back from the dead have a choice in that matter.
And what would they request for the meal? So let's rewrite that. And what would they request
It would
for
be
the meal?
Polite. Just, they're all the way back from beyond. It's
Hey,
like,
you're alive again. What are you
I've
hungry
dictated your menu.
We're having
Oh,
corn
gosh.
dogs. Hey, Mozart, we're having corn dogs.
There you go. Oh man, that's tricky. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm having
I think I probably have to go with Oliver Sacks again there because
I love that.
Yeah. Even though he lived a long and fruitful life, I feel like there's still so much more of him to be given to the world. So
I can see that. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. What would he order for his meal?
I'm not sure, but he strikes me as a coffee drinker, at the very least.
I can see that. I can see that. Like that's his stimulant of choice. Sure.
Yep.
And and then he'd ask for a corn dog.
There you go.
I'm going to move us on to the Keep One game.
I think we should move on to the Keep One game.
So, Mozart or Beethoven?
Keep One.
Why did I write this? It's so evil.
And those are two of your favorites too. We know this about you. Yeah.
I know.
So she has to lose one.
Yeah. I think that's why you wrote it.
It's interesting because when I write this for guests, I personalize it. So I sometimes I know some of their favorites and I put them in so that it's torture for them. But oh gosh, I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna keep Beethoven because his melodies are just right to the heart.
That's a tough call, though. I have to agree.
Yeah.
All right. I already know my answer to this, but I'll let you answer because we're asking you the questions. Ebook, paperback, or hardcover?
Ooh, it depends on the situation.
Well, here I'll take one factor out of it. If the cost difference wasn't a factor, because that's where my answer comes from.
Yes, I really like hardcover. So I guess I would keep hardcover. Although I must say the ability to open a paperback a little bit easier is really nice. So
Sure. But I was if I had one of those little counter bells, the little ding counter bell, I would have dinged you on the hardcover because I agree. I just love the feel of holding a hardcover, but yeah, the paperback is.
Do you love them for when you're traveling and you put hardcover books in your luggage so you've got something to read on vacation? They get less lovable.
Yeah, I think this is
in that context.
I've only tended to pack one book because I read so slowly that one book will generally get me through an entire trip.
Paperbacks are good for travel. Audiobooks should be on this list.
Oh, it's true.
Right? I love an audiobook sometimes. All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee, definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm an iced coffee person.
So is he.
Me too, most of the time. Yeah.
I brew his coffee in the French press during the day and then put it in the fridge overnight. So he's got.
I wake up in the morning and I've got a fresh
chilled French press coffee every day.
Press coffee.
Ooh. Ooh, very nice. Very nice.
Crayons, markers, or colored pencils?
What about magic? Oh, magic markers, right? Yeah. What about? Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah.
We don't need
Crayons.
to fuck with this. It's fine the way it is.
No, I was like markers, but what isn't that? Yeah. No.
That's easy for me actually because it's a sensory thing. I really like crayons. I like the smell of them, the feel of them, the
Nice.
feel of them across the page. When
yeah,
I use markers and colored pencils, it kind of makes me cringe because of like the
Interesting.
sounds it makes.
Crayons have such a nostalgic smell.
They do.
And
It takes you back to kindergarten.
I think I relate to the sensory thing about colored pencils too. I don't really enjoy and not that I draw much, but like I never really enjoyed drawing with them because it always feels like I'm kind of having to force them.
It depends on the quality of the color. I have some very, very good ones.
Yeah, no, I've never had very, very good ones.
That they're just in our bedroom. I
Oh,
can
I
show
know.
you the shelf.
I know we have them now. I know we have them now, but I'm not inclined to do them right now.
Yeah. I didn't like colored pencils also because when you go to color something, it takes forever because of the diameter of the point of
Yeah.
lead. And you're just
have to
like
hold it on
forever
its
to color in that
side.
dog's nose, you know? And it's like,
Oh man.
You're like, I give up. I'm not coloring anymore.
I remember I was like 4 or 5 years old and I had a Bugs Bunny coloring book and one of those 64 count Crayola,
The glory.
the Crayola with all the different colors.
With the sharpener in the back.
Yeah, with the sharpener in the back.
I still want a new box of those.
And
now.
I think there was like a silver and a gold.
Yeah, there's always a silver and a gold.
As well as gray and copper. And I remember deciding after playing around with this Bugs Bunny coloring book that I was going to be as accurate as possible to the colors of the actual cartoon. And I got obsessed for I don't know how long. It might have been a day. It might have been a week. I don't know. But I got obsessed with
probably a day.
It was probably about a day.
Because a day feels like a week when you're 5.
Yes, it's true. But I remember this very distinctly. I think I was about 5 years old. I can remember my old bedroom and everything. And just, I'm going to make sure this is accurate. And I was careful to not go outside the lines. And probably, I did probably a pretty good job because I remember being obsessed about it.
Did it go on the fridge?
Oh, I don't know.
That's how you know. If it makes it to the fridge gallery.
I might not have even shared that with my parents. I might have just, it might have been for my own
private obsession.
Yeah.
Shall I do the final one?
Well, yeah.
Where can our listeners connect with you via social media?
I'm mostly on Instagram and Facebook, Creative Piecemeal Podcast. On Instagram, there's those little underscores in there where you put spaces, so it's Creative _Piecemeal _Podcast. And then on Facebook, it's just all one smooshed together word, Creative Piecemeal Podcast. But that's where you can connect with me there. I have a sparse TikTok because I thought, oh, surely I must try to be hip like the youngsters, and that doesn't really work out so well. So I mean, you can follow me on TikTok, but like there's really not much there.
I think I follow you on both your Facebook and your Instagram. I'm pretty sure I follow you in both places.
I know I follow you on Facebook for sure.
I try to. Well, you don't.
I don't
with the gram. Much.
I'm not a big Instagram person.
It's the kinder, gentler. It's so much nicer than Facebook over on the gram.
Yes, I do.
Even
love
though
the
it's
gram.
the same company.
I love the gram.
I love the gram.
It's so good. I follow the best things there. That's where elephant lovers Instagram with all the cute baby elephants. That's so one of my favorite follows.
Oh, they're so sweet.
Oh, I'll share it with you. It's my favorite follow. It's like little newborn baby elephants.
Oh,
that one just figuring out like I'm stepping on my own trunk. Uh-oh.
Yeah, brand new, trying to walk.
And then it kind of figures it out and it's like, oh, I can curl it around my
I'll share it
face.
with you. It's really lovely. Because what's cuter than a baby elephant?
Not much.
Right? I get lost watching little dog videos on Instagram.
Yeah.
Babies are cute, whatever.
Baby animals, baby anything.
Baby humans.
Yes.
I hate spiders, and even baby spiders are cute.
Yes, some of them.
Well,
with their 12 million eyes.
Yeah. Well, they're babies, so you can't see all their little eyes. It's just like a little thing with legs, just a little teeny thing.
Yes.
Except when there's 1,000 of them coming out of one egg sac, then it's not cute.
Right.
Look at that, like in Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, like in Charlotte's Web, that book that
Wilbur liked that.
yeah,
It
that
cheered him up. Anyway,
resonated with me so well. Being a
I think
spider
we
lover.
have done this.
Have we done this?
I think we have.
I think this has been marvelous.
This has been so much fun,
Excellent.
Tammy. We need to have
Yes,
you as a
thank
guest
you.
on.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely do that. We
Yeah,
we
no,
seem to be a
there's
very
definitely
lovely
more.
trio.
Yeah.
Yes, we work well together.
There's definitely more that we can talk about outside of the structure of this excellent 100th episode. Congratulations again.
Thank you. Woohoo. Listeners, be sure to check out the podcast for Mark and Elizabeth's specific episodes. You'll have to scroll back because, of course, we're at 100, and so there's a lot to get through. But definitely check theirs out and check out Meet for TCast. And if you're a writer or other creative person, they have submissions open periodically for their wonderful literary and arts magazine called Meet for Tea. So check that out. And as always, thank you so much for listening. And I look forward to hundreds and hundreds of more episodes. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Like the show? Have a question? Stop by the Facebook and Instagram pages. Links are in the show notes, or search for Creative Piecemeal Podcast on social media and click follow for all the latest.